Well, hello again, everybody. This is your friend No Way. I wanted to put together a few thoughts of a few things that I see going on in America of, well, why I've been saying that most of America is getting just what what they voted for, what their belief structure is, what their true heart's desires are, and the I don't know. I see some lately a great sense of I must divide those that just don't agree with me. I was I was kind of taken back here the other night listening. I went to listen to a show on Blog Talk Radio Tuesday night, and I could not believe this was coming out of this person. The host, well, to tell you the truth, is like the Bible says, pride goes before the fall. And between you and I, ladies and gentlemen, this host is falling hard. But what I was really, really surprised at, this host went off the deep end, claiming that Europeans did not invade North America. Well, if you sit down and look at the truth, well, they did. Anytime people from another land cross oceans to another piece of land, and then they commence to bringing all their friends and all these other people, you may be very comfortable with calling it, we were just settling a new land. We were building great nations. Well, what about the nations of indigenous people that were already here? It's a known fact, recorded known fact. When Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, and he discovered not America, but the Caribbean islands, there were 60 million indigenous people in America at that time. There was another 10 million or so in the southern part of what is Canada today. We all know of the indigenous people that they just put a label calling them Eskimos. But there were people here. The tribes, or should I say the nations, they called themselves the Cherokee Nation, the Sioux Nation, the Blackfoot Nation, the Maliseet Nation, the Acadian Nation, the Micmac Nation. All the different tribes. But see, when Europeans came here, well, they were called savages. What are these things? Get them away from me. Get them away from me. We're settling this land and calling it our own. That's an invasion. The problem is, and we see it in America and Canada today, you have that European egotistical mentality that these people think they're so great and they do no wrong and everybody must listen to them. But this is the problem that we have in America and especially in Canada. Canada is being shredded by Trudeau and the Liberals. because the conservative or they're divided up so much that the liberals have an agenda, and they're all lock, step, and barrel. They're all a bunch of puppets, and they all follow that agenda. In America, you got basically two sides. But for Canada, you got 3 or 4 or 5 parties. And everybody thinks they're right. And everybody is pissed off if you don't listen to them. And, well, they can't even hold rallies to stand up against the anti-Semitism that's being rammed down Canadians' throats, the Muslim infestation of these enclaves all over that can't be stopped. Because when you look at the people that are so-called right-minded, they can't get along either. And, well, when you're going to hold a rally to stand up for the good of Canada, and you got 5 people that show up, you got a lot of people that will keyboard warriors, but you don't have those bodies, those souls, those caring patriots that care to stand up and let their voices be heard by many. But to sit there and openly, I don't, as this host was carrying on, this host was very disgusting. My wife and I were, just beside ourselves. Trust me, we fast-forwarded through it and then just couldn't stand the rhetoric anymore. Because it just from one topic to another, and there's no... I can see why Howard Stern laughed at this show and called this show right up and mocked this show live on his syndicated radio show on XM radio that's listened to by millions. And, well, this show took it hard, and I don't think the 3 or 4 live listeners even understand how they were being mocked. How this host, I don't even think this host grasped the severity of how this host was being mocked. It was comical, to say the least. But when you look at what has happened, I see it. I went to YouTube to see what the people were talking about on there and to see the shows on there. Don't get me wrong, there's some great shows. There's some great people doing great things here on YouTube. And they're reaching people. But of course, it's like what's going on with so many of the different groups. Your QAnon, your Mandela effect. You have the people that are dissecting it, talking ideas. Remember, smart people talk ideas. Average people talk about stuff. Stupid people talk about other people. When it comes to just what's going on in the government and behind the scenes in this QAnon, people are divided because people don't want to listen to each other. And they all want to be the one that is listened to. Instead of listening to the person that's bringing the information forth, and let's discuss ideas of how this can work in our favor. Whatever you think of QAnon, it doesn't matter. But the shills are the shills are the shills are the shills. You see them everywhere. You see these trolls. If you're trying to better yourself by using other people and their material and their name to grow your base because you have, alienated everybody, you've attacked everybody, you've been nasty to everybody, so people have turned away from you. If you are trying to grow something on the backs of somebody else's work, then you're going to fail. Because you are not that person. And this is the European mentality that has destroyed North America. The indigenous people, I'm half Micmac, I'm half Scotch-Irish. But my ancestry that is here and based here, we survived thousands of years here. We lived off the land, we lived with the land, we were respectful of the land, and for this, we were called savages. We were looked upon as people, as a lower life form that can just be walked right over. Just go over here and take their land and we're growing a great nation. Well, no. You grow a great nation at the cost of another. Now this same cycle is playing out again here today, and we see it playing out here again today. Because we created America under a constitution, under a standard. Okay? You may think that the indigenous people that were here in America had no laws and no constitution. No, we had morals. We had a strict leadership called elders that informed through wisdom their knowledge and wisdom down to the chief, and the chief relayed this wisdom and knowledge out to the people as a great leader. Everybody knew their place. Everybody knew the laws. Everybody knew that there were strict punishments for theft and, yes, even adultery. And, well, hey, if you want to overindulge and you don't want to do what is required of you, well, then nobody else is going to give you anything. But when you come into the society of today where this piece of socialism, oh, that's okay because, well, you're getting it. And you're reaping the benefits of that form of socialism. If it comes in a form of some public union pension as here in America, or your public pension system in Canada, where you can retire at 50, 55 and live off in the taxpayers for the rest of your life. But yet people today deem it's their right. I worked for it. Well, no, you didn't. These people are working for the money that you're now living off in. That's what public entitlements do. Somebody else is working to pay for what you think you are entitled to have. While other people that are not in the public sector are barely making ends meet in the private sector because your disposable income is being taxed and feed right out of you because, well, all these public sector people need their elaborate lifestyle that they deem they deserve. That's the same thing that went on, ladies and gentlemen, back when the Europeans came here and they settled into this land in North America. They deemed they were the superior people over the indigenous people. And we are going to just take and utilize whatever we want, however we want, because, well, it makes my life better. And nobody thinks about the other person. Nobody thinks about who has to suffer so you can have what you deem you are entitled to receive. And that's a problem. That's the European mentality that came here with Columbus. You know, few people even think about it or know today that long before the blacks were captured and enslaved and brought to America as slaves, you know why they had to go to Africa to get more slaves? Because the indigenous people that were already here were already gone. Were already dead. They were enslaved. They were driven off their lands. Their food sources were cut off. Their food sources were plundered by the Europeans to the point where they could and they died off. When Columbus landed here, like I said, the known fact, there were 60 million indigenous people in America. After World War II, there were 800,000 left. There's your genocide, ladies and gentlemen. 59.2 million indigenous people lost their lives so the Europeans could settle this wild wilderness land. So be careful how you word your thoughts and what you live and hold dear in your heart, because by that very logic, you have no right to speak out against the migrants. You have no right to. Because your ancestors came here and settled land that was not theirs, but was given to them by their own government that claimed it, regardless of who lived on it before. So be careful. When those migrants come pitching a tent in your backyard, you have no right to say a word. You know why? It's undeveloped land. Your house sits on that piece, and I'm going to put my tent on this piece. And that's my right, because I'm here to settle. I'm not invading. So think. And if you want America to change, ladies and gentlemen, you want America to go back and start going in the right direction, then you have to start remembering that what you think you are entitled to for free, somebody else has to pay for. And if you're receiving something that out of all of your years of paying in, being taxed by the system, and you are receiving what you have paid in, that's not an entitlement. Or, it is an entitlement. You paid for it. But for you to work a job and your government body that you work for is taxing other people so you can have benefits for the rest of your life to live on when you so-called retire at 50 to 55, in that range somewhere, you are actually getting something that you have not paid for. In America, your Social Security is taxed out of you every pay period, every paycheck. They're taking large sums of money from you that you are entitled to have back. But now that's being used to pay for people that never paid in. You see, it's a very slippery slope when you look at in what is truly an invasion. If you look at what truly an invasion is, are people from a foreign country coming to your country illegally to claim what is rightfully yours or your country's. And that's what the migrants are doing. They're not coming here to assimilate and get jobs and become a productive part of society. They are coming here to get welfare and leech off in society. That's what they're here for. The next time you come across these secular humanists, turn your back. It's time we start turning away from these people. It's time when they start finding themselves talking to themselves in the mirror, and because nobody else will listen to them, that's when we win. It's the same thing with the mainstream media. And all the articles, this article, that article, this, it's all propaganda. It's all lies. And if you base your facts and your truth on that, then I truly am sorry for you. I feel very sorry for you. You read it to see what's going on, and then you look into the facts behind the propaganda. Don't take your propaganda as facts. And be very careful attacking the indigenous people. Some, they need to get that chip knocked off their shoulders. Me, I couldn't care less. America moved past that. We're all together. We're all as one under God. God only created one race, the human race. We need to stop putting people in groups, and we need to stop bragging that I'm a proud European Canadian. Well, then go right back to Europe. We don't care. You weren't invited here. North America was invaded, truly invaded, and overrun, and, okay, conquered, if you will. I do not believe in restitution for nothing. Nobody living today deserves to receive money that somebody else has made for crimes against humanity 200-300 years ago. You know, when Chamberlain came across from Spain, and he came down through the Bay of Fundy, and he came into the St. Lawrence Seaway, and he came all the way right down into upstate New York and lower Quebec and all that what is today, you know, he would have died if it was not for the indigenous people showing him the cure to the illness that was killing the Europeans. And you know how he thanked them? He snatched 5 of them right out of the tribe, threw them on a boat, and took them back, I guess, as prizes or look at this, look what I brought back for you. Those 5 indigenous people never saw that. They were part of the Iroquois tribe. They never saw their people again. They never saw their homeland again. At one point when British troops were here, they know of, there were Micmac Indians taken back to France, taken back to England. What was it? What is it with these Europeans and using people as prizes? So you wonder why God is smiting Canada and America today? Because we're resorting right back to where people are property, and not a person under God to be respected for who they are. So these are some things we got. But that I wanted to put this on there. These are things we have to think about and work on, and work at getting with groups of people and ignoring those that just want to talk about other people and just want to seem to be angry at the world and at everybody. If that's how you are, and you can't see people for who people truly are, and you have to use your radio show to attack people from other countries and people that travel and other shows, and then go away. Go seek some help. We're not the problem. People that care about our nations of America or Canada, we're not the problem. We just don't like what you're saying and how you're saying it and how you attack people for not listening to you or agreeing with you. There's too much of that division going on. It's in our churches, it's in our schools, it's in our families, it's in our town. It's everywhere, people. You have to start learning to find the common ground. Because if you can't find common ground, you've lost it all. So until the next time I have something to say, this is No Way.